that mold is at an all-time high today.
All right, that sounds good.
The one thing I am allergic to.
The one thing I'm allergic to, mold. Okay.
You know, I know that.
Cheers, anyone allergic to mold.
CBS this morning.
I know for sure I'm gonna cringe a lot throughout this, but
now that I think about it.
that's why we're here, right? To cringe, to learn about ourselves,
Coming around.
learn about Kamala.
Got it on both?
What could have been the first woman president? Legitimately crazy, right? What was America thinking?
We're all perfectly happy. Everybody happy?
She look happy.
You good?
I'm good.
All right. Well, Madam Vice President, one, thank you for doing this.
Of course.
And thank you for inviting us into your home.
Of course.
Of course.
We're going to be running this on the anniversary of the Hamas attack on Israel.
October 7th.
So let's just start with Israel.
1 second, Bill.
Yeah.
Sorry, we had someone in the background. I'm afraid you're going to have to re-ask that.
Okay, whoever's in the dining room.
It was me.
Okay.
Stupid.
So yeah, just to start with Israel.
Okay.
The events of the past few weeks have pushed us to the brink, if not into, an all-out regional war in the Middle East. What can the U.S. do at this point to stop this from spinning out of control?
Well, let's start with October 7th. Because obviously what we do now must be in the context of what has happened. And
we gotta
reflect on
unburden them.
A year ago.
Gotta unburden them.
That 1,200 people were massacred. Young people at a festival, at a music festival. 250 hostages were taken, including Americans. Women were brutally raped. And as I said then, I maintain Israel has a right to defend itself. We would.
It's crazy. Free Palestine don't want to talk about that.
And as we fast forward into what we have seen in the ensuing
Free Palestine don't want to talk about.
Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed.
I guess Israel don't want to talk about Israel stuff. But.
And I think most agree, this war has to end. And that has to be our number one imperative. And that has been our number one imperative. How can we get this war to end? Well, critical elements of that are we have got to get a hostage deal and a ceasefire deal done. We have to get aid in. We have to lay the path toward a two-state solution. I do believe that we must maintain that as an objective, no matter how out of reach it seems at the moment. And the other state has to be the United States. Pay attention to what is happening every day in the region and put U.S. resources into everything we can do diplomatically and otherwise to de-escalate what is happening in the region.
We supply Israel with billions of dollars in military aid.
Oh, yeah.
And yet, Prime Minister Netanyahu seems to be charting his own course. The Biden-Harris administration, has pressed him to agree to a ceasefire. He's resisted. You urged him not to go into Lebanon. He went in anyway. He has promised to make Iran pay for the missile attack, and that has the potential of expanding the war.
Boring.
Does the U.S. have no sway over Prime Minister Netanyahu?
Well, let's start with this. On
Netanyahu?
The aid that we have given Israel allowed Israel to defend itself against 200 ballistic missiles that were just meant to attack the Israelis and the people of Israel. And I think that is the most recent example of why what we do to assist in their defense around military aid is important. And when we think about the threat that Hamas, Hezbollah presents, Iran, I think
Hezbollah,
that it is,
the
without any
terrorist
question,
organization,
not
the cute little baby midget. Well, I guess he isn't cute, but you get what I'm saying. Not that little midget.
That we do diplomatically,
not that little Muslim
the
midget.
Leadership of Israel is an
little person.
pursuit.
Not
around
Hezbollah.
making clear
Hezbollah.
our
Big difference.
principles,
Big difference.
Which include the
Big
need
difference,
for
big difference.
humanitarian
Big
aid,
difference.
the need for this war to end, the need for a deal to be done, which would release the hostages and create a ceasefire. And we're not going to stop in terms of putting that pressure on Israel and in the region, including with other leaders in the region, including Arab leaders.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening. The Wall Street Journal said that
Yeah, he don't care, do he?
That
He don't
the
care.
administration has repeatedly been blindsided by Netanyahu. And in fact, he has rebuffed just about all of your administration's entreaties.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy.
What
for
a
needs to
political
happen in the
ass
region. And we're not
answer.
gonna
What the
stop
hell
doing
am I
that.
listening to?
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for
She
the
didn't
United
even
States
answer.
to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Just one last.
She didn't even answer that shit.
Do we have a real close?
That was kind of gangster. That's like
ally
some. I need my
in Prime
lawyer.
Minister Netanyahu?
I plead the fifth.
I think,
Netanyahu's
with all
fault.
due respect, the better question is, do we
Yahuda.
have an important alliance
Netanyahu.
between the American people and the Israeli people? And the answer to that question is yes. And we are going to do what is important to support whatever leadership is in Israel that is defending the security of the state of Israel.
Let's shift gears here. The most basic of questions. Why do you want to be President of the United States?
Because
There
I
are many reasons,
wanna.
but probably first and foremost, I truly believe in the promise of America. I do. And I love the American people.
I don't
You know,
know.
we are people who have ambition and aspirations and dreams and optimism.
And I don't want to give any money to
If you
Israel.
look at the character of who we are and how we have achieved the strength
That's crazy.
that we
Kamala.
have achieved,
Kamala kind
I
of
believe in large
didn't
part
give.
it is because
She didn't want to give
of
money
our
to Israel,
character and our belief
right?
in the promise of America.
She
And
was
I'm
like
running for
Palestinian.
president
She was like
because
pro-Palestine,
I
right?
want to do everything
More
that is
pro-Palestine?
possible to create an opportunity for people to achieve
By default, though,
those
I don't.
goals,
I don't
those
know if she was
ambitions, and those dreams.
herself actually
And
pro-Palestine.
that is why you will hear me talk about my plan for an opportunity economy to invest in what we can do, not only to bring the cost
I'm
of
not gonna
living
lie.
and prices down for folks, because even though we've achieved a lot of success,
This is where she would
prices
get
are still too
everybody.
high.
This is where she
You
got
know
me.
it, I know it. But what we can do to invest
We need
in
to start businesses.
the
Give money
innovation that is
to
happening
everyone.
in,
Start a
in
business.
startups and our small businesses.
Ah,
What
here
we
we
can
go.
do to invest in the industries of the future. What we can do to maintain America's strength in
Invest.
the global context.
But that's why you want to run. That's why you want to be.
That's why I'm running.
president.
That and some other
But
reasons.
you're asking the American people to make you
Some other
the
reasons,
most
I
powerful
suppose.
person on the planet.
Yep.
Why do you deserve the American people's votes?
Well, first of all,
Yep.
I have a
I'm aware.
career
The most important person
and a history
in the
of being
world.
very clear that I think of my role of leadership, and in particular now,
She
the
really
last 4
wanted
years
to
as
win
vice
against Donald
president
Trump.
and moving forward as president, if the voters will have me. as
Biden
being a
apparently
leader on
won.
behalf of all
Apparently
Americans.
Biden won.
As you know, I
Didn't
spent
steal
the
it.
majority of my
Apparently he
career as a
won fair and
prosecutor.
square.
And I'm going to tell you,
Won.
I never asked a victim of crime, a witness, whether they were a Democrat, are you Republican, are you an independent. The only thing I ever asked folks is, are you okay? And I believe that America deserves a leader who works on behalf of all Americans and understands the importance of knowing that the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. And my career and my work has always been about being grounded in common sense approaches to getting things done. And when it comes to what we need to do as it relates to national security, we just had that conversation.
It's
That
like a whole lot of
includes
nothing.
Understanding and respecting the power and
It
the
sounds
strength
good though. Like I
of the
don't know.
United States
She's
of America
saying the right
and our then
words. She's
responsibility
got the right vocabulary for
to be
sure.
a global leader, to nurture and strengthen our alliances around the world,
She's got some nice
to
nails.
respect the U.S. military and its most noble mission,
Peep the nails.
to do the work of appreciating
Or am I tripping? They're not nice?
alliances, be it NATO or others, to do the work of pursuing diplomacy
Nah, they're nice.
when it is in the best interest
Those are
of
nice.
our national security and prosperity.
Nah, those are nice.
And
Hands down. Nails
experiences tell
down.
me-
Nice.
not only that those must be priorities of the United States of America and the
But what kind of
President
style
of the
does she
United
got,
States of
though?
America and the Commander-in-Chief of the
what
United
I
States
mean?
of America, but also
Like the suit.
all of those experiences
you know.
tell me that the American people in this election have a clear choice. Because on the other side of the equation, we are looking at the former president, Donald Trump, who has shown himself to be, when he was a commander-in-chief, someone who gave away America's standing in terms of our principles of standing up to dictators and autocrats. You see how he compliments Putin even today. Someone who was prepared to walk away from our alliances. NATO is the strongest military alliance the world has ever known. We have seen
So when she
someone
does
in
that,
Donald Trump
no.
who openly criticizes the United States military
And
men
she
and
like
women
sits on it for a minute.
who are prepared
It's
to,
musical.
at great sacrifice,
And the thing I should have said
serve our
now.
country and defend the principles upon
She
which
does-
we were
she, like,
founded.
holds
He
the
calls
note,
them
usually with
suckers
her
and
hand.
losers.
It's very like
Madam
she's
Vice President,
conducting an orchestra.
A quarter of registered voters still say they don't know you. They don't know what makes you tick.
Nobody voted for
And
you,
why
Kamala.
do you think that is? I mean,
Nobody
you've been
voted for
vice
you,
president
Kamala.
for almost 4 years.
We don't
You've
even know
been
how
on
to
the
say your
national scene
name.
for longer. What's the disconnect?
It's an election bill. And I take it seriously that I have to earn everyone's vote. And that's why I'm traveling our country. I've seen you in a few states in the last couple of days. I am talking with folks where they
Mama
live.
love, mama
I am
love,
listening
mama
to
love.
folks and working to earn the vote of every American. This is an election for President of the United States. No one should be able to take for granted that they can just declare themselves a candidate and automatically receive support. You have to earn it. And that's what I intend to do.
Let me tell you what your critics and opponents say.
Let me tell you what Danny
They say
Phantom's
the
got to
reason
say.
so
One of your
many
biggest
voters
critics.
don't know you. is
He said you
you've
suck
changed
Willie Brown's cock.
many things. You were against fracking, now you're for it. You supported looser immigration policies, now you're tightening them up. You were for Medicare for all, now you're not.
Your state's
So
on
many
fire,
people
and the homelessness is
don't
out of.
truly know what you believe.
It could never be
or
recovered.
what you stand
What do you
for.
got to
And I
say?
know you've heard that.
So, let's be clear. First of all, a lot of the positions that you were talking about have been discussed.
Not
and-
my.
and
That is not
in
my
2020,
job.
4 years ago.
That is not my job,
But
brother.
let
That
me
is
be
not
clear
my
on
job.
something. In the last 4 years, I have been Vice President of the United States.
Right, not
Not
president.
a senator from a particular state,
Mm-hmm.
not coming from a particular state, but Vice President of the United States.
Not my
of
fault.
America. And I have been traveling our country, and I have been listening to folks and seeking what is possible in terms of common ground, common sense solutions, building consensus.
Common sense.
And
bro.
that is why I have taken the positions that I take. Not dispensing with my values, but understanding we have to, a real leader has to
Ooh,
find
she's hitting them with the Italian
So, for
little.
example, on the issue of fracking, I've been very clear since 2020. I will not end fracking. I did not as Vice President. In fact, as Vice President of the United States, I cast the decisive vote I broke the tie
See how she
in
marinates
Congress
on it a little bit?
that now allows more leases for fracking. On the issue of health care in America, my value has always been
Oh,
that access to health care should be a right
Oh.
and not just a privilege of those who can afford it, which is why I cast the tie-breaking vote in the United States Congress that has now allowed us to cap the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a
no
month.
cap, no cap.
Work that I have been a part of and helped lead about capping the cost of prescription medication for our seniors at $2,000 a year. All born out of my belief that we need to bring the price of medication down because it has been too expensive for too many people to the point that they couldn't even afford to fill their prescription. That's why I've been a huge advocate for what we have accomplished finally to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of the American people.
You have said that your values haven't changed, but your positions have.
We need free
And I think people
Oxycontin
want to know, is this evolution?
for everybody, for
or,
babies.
as your critics say, opportunism?
I think that we should understand the importance of a leader building consensus. I believe in building consensus. And I believe in finding a way that the American people, and we are a diverse
Not gonna lie, I'm kind of high for this.
geographically, regionally, based on whether it be urban, rural, agricultural, we are a diverse people in terms of where we are in our backgrounds and what the American people do.
Not gonna lie, those
is that
earrings
we
are
have
kinda
leaders who
like
can build
mid.
consensus,
The earrings
where
are
we can
mid.
figure out compromise and understand it's not a bad
Mid.
thing as
Mid-ass
long as you don't compromise
earrings.
your values.
For
to find
an
common sense
interview like this,
solutions. And that has
mid.
been my approach.
Let's move on to the economy. As you were saying, well, first of all, the economy and inflation, those are the primary concerns of the American voters this election year. You just got some blockbuster
She do look
jobs
Indian, don't she?
report, a blockbuster job report the other day. And there are lots of signs that
Yeah, she's
the
Indian,
American
y'all.
economy is
She
doing
ain't.
very
I mean,
well.
she might be black, but she's
Better than
definitely
most countries,
Indian.
I think. But the American
She's
people
Indian, y'all.
don't seem to be feeling it. Groceries are 25% higher than when you took office. And people are blaming
People
you
really aren't happy with
and
that.
Joe Biden for that. Are they wrong?
So you are correct that under our leadership, the United States of America has recovered and is stronger than any other so-called developed nation in the world, in particular after the crisis that was the pandemic. And understand, we came into office facing a disaster in large part because of the mismanagement of the former president, Donald Trump, where the economy was in a slump. People were dying by the hundreds. It was a real crisis. But because of our approach and our work, we now have historic low unemployment in America among all groups of people. We now have an economy that is thriving by all macroeconomic measures. We have recovered in a way that we have created almost 800,000 new manufacturing jobs.
Isn't there really
We've
just
created
one
over
group of
16
people though?
million new jobs as a
Americans,
whole.
right?
And to your point,
Groups of people.
prices are still
The
too
fuck
high.
does that mean?
And I know that, and we need to deal with it, which is why part of my plan, you mentioned groceries. Part of my plan is what we must do to bring down the price of groceries. I'm taking on an issue I've taken on before as Attorney General, the issue of price gouging, which is not all, but some corporations and businesses that take advantage of a crisis and jack prices up, making the cost of groceries and other everyday essentials too expensive for the American people.
But
I'm taking on the issue of housing. It's a big issue in our country. It's too expensive. There were generations.
The rent
before
is
us
too
that
damn
believed
high.
They could achieve the American dream, which
Remember that
included
shit?
homeownership.
The rent is too damn
Now,
high party.
I travel
Remember
our
that?
country. I
That
talk
was
to
pretty
young people
base.
every day, and they are so concerned they'll never be able to afford to buy a home or even start a family because of the cost of housing. So part of my plan is to put
Shout out
the
to my
resources
families,
into
yo. Shout out to my
partnering
homeowners.
with builders and
Shout out to my
developers
aspiring
incentives for them to build 3
Americans
million
with
new
dreams
homes
still.
by the end of my first term, and My plan includes giving first-time homebuyers a $25,000 down payment assistance so they can just get their foot in the door.
Well, let's talk about that. You want to expand the child tax credit.
Yes, I do.
You want to give tax
But you
breaks
gotta
to
be gay.
first-time home buyers.
Yes.
And people starting small businesses.
Correct.
But it is estimated by the Nonpartisan Committee for Responsible Federal Budget that your economic plan would add $3 trillion to the federal deficit over the next decade. How are you going to pay for that?
Okay, so the other economists that have reviewed my plan versus my opponent, because this is an election and there are two choices. Everyone from Goldman Sachs to Moody's to 16 Nobel laureates.
Well, there's really 3 choices.
So on the first point, comparing my economic plan
It's really 3
to
choices.
Donald
Come
Trump's
on.
economic plan, they have reviewed it and determined that
Technically,
my
you
economic
lost
plan
because
would
of the
strengthen
third
America's
choice, right?
economy.
That's the cope.
His would weaken it.
They just didn't show out the vote
16
this
Nobel
time.
laureates,
It's not that they were
Moody's,
all
others
dead or didn't
Have
exist.
determined
It's
after
just that they
reviewing
didn't like
what
you.
Donald Trump is proposing.
They liked Biden
that
more.
He would induce
That's the cope, right?
inflation, increase
Biden,
inflation,
most popular president in
and
history,
bring
by the
about
way.
a recession by the middle of next year. My plan, Bill, if you don't mind, my plan is about saying that when you invest in small businesses, you invest in the middle class, and you strengthen America's economy. Small businesses are part of the backbone of America's economy.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President. The question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is
I'm
I'm
a-
going to make sure
I'm a
that
politician,
the richest
and I'm
among
answering
us
it.
who can afford
Let
it
me answer it.
pay their fair share in taxes.
Oh,
Listen, again, my opponent, when he was president,
we gotta eat the rich.
issued a tax cut for people like himself, billionaires and the biggest corporations. My perspective is everybody needs to pay their fair share. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying
How about no
higher
taxes?
tax rate than billionaires
Taxes are
and the biggest
dumb.
corporations.
But-
and I plan on making that fair.
But we're
This
dealing
country was
with
founded
the real world here.
But the real world
on
includes
How are you
revolting
doing this
over
through Congress?
increase in taxes.
You know, when you talk quietly with a lot of folks in Congress, they know exactly what I'm talking about because their constituents know exactly what I'm talking about. Their constituents are
And that
those
shit was on
firefighters
tea and
teachers
stamps.
and nurses. Their
We
constituents
killed people
are
over that.
middle-class, hardworking folk who know that it is not right
Fuck the
that
taxes,
hardworking
bro.
people are paying a higher tax rate than the richest people who can afford to pay their fair share. So that's how we deal with it. But understand also that this is, yes, it is about how we pay for what we're doing, but understand it's not, it doesn't end there. My plan is actually about strengthening America's economy, not just netting zero. My plan is about doing what we can do for small businesses and startups. Right now, the tax deduction, Bill, for a startup, $5,000. In 2024, nary a person gonna be able to start a small business with $5,000.
The fuck did she just say?
So I'm gonna extend it to $50,000.
What? Nary a person. What the fuck did she just say?
Not just netting zero.
Oh,
My
swag.
plan is about
Swag,
doing
bitch.
what we can do for
Huh.
small businesses and startups. Right now, the tax deduction, Bill, for a startup, $5,000. In 2024, nary a person gonna be able to start a small business with $5,000.
Nary a person?
So
I understand
I'm
what it
gonna extend
means,
to
but the
$50,000.
fuck? I've never heard no one
My
say that.
plan is about what we need to do to, yes, expand the
Nary a
child tax credit,
person?
because for young families,
Isn't she from
for the
California?
first
They
year
don't
of
even
their
talk like
child's
that in
life,
California.
$6,000 allows them to buy a crib, a car seat, and just be able to not just get by, but get ahead for that most critical stage of their child's development. We
Indians
all benefit
say
from that.
nary.
We all benefit from that.
I understand,
From, like,
but
Compton? Ain't no way,
that
bro.
sounds great. It does. It all sounds good. But
I'm reading too deep into
the reality
it.
is these tax cuts have been in
Snap
place
back
for
to
years.
reality. Oh, there
Everybody's
goes
lying.
gravity.
Yes,
Oh,
and Congress has shown
Kamala's so
no
mad, but she knows there's no.
inclination to move in your direction.
I disagree with you. There are plenty of leaders in
I
Congress
disagree with that
who
vibe.
understand and know
I'm not vibing with that.
the Trump tax cuts blew up our federal deficit. And care about the deficit in a way that they know. We must address it by making sure that our tax policy reflects fairness.
I like how she talks to me
And,
like I'm stupid.
Again, understand, none of us, and certainly I cannot afford to be myopic in terms of how I think about strengthening America's economy. And that has to include, where are we investing our resources in a way that we maximize the return on the
Yo,
investment?
ASMR.
Let me tell you something. I am a devout public servant, you know that. I am also a capitalist.
Oh,
The
W
limitations of
capitalist.
government. Part
Capitalist
of the work
Kamala?
I've
I
always
didn't see
done
that
and the
coming.
work I will do as president
Whoa.
includes engaging the private sector.
I'm also a
to
capitalist.
Join in what we can do, whether it be again tax incentives for builders or
Okay.
developers, or what we need to do to increase the work I've already done to get some of our biggest finance houses and corporations to invest in community
Not
banks
gonna
to
lie,
increase
though.
access to capital for small businesses.
Ain't Kamala
All
voters?
of this work must be done, but we have
Ain't
to have
capitalist a
holistic
dirty
approach
word for
that is
them?
comprehensive.
I guess what I was asking, if all of this makes so much sense, why has this not been done?
I don't
You're
know.
dealing with a Congress that is divided, that many are in opposition to not only you, but your policies. So how are you going to make this
Shit.
Bill,
come true?
if
Bill?
I approached my life as though, well, it's never been done before, therefore it cannot be done, I wouldn't be sitting here in this interview with you.
Bill. Bill.
That's the truth.
That's
But
no
I
kizzy,
do
Bill.
believe that we have to have leadership in our country as we turn the page on all of these sadly powerful forces.
Yo,
that have
that's
been
a nice
trying to
ring
divide
she's got.
us. We have to turn the page on that and chart a new way forward that is driven by building consensus and building common ground. Listen, you look at my campaign. I am supported by over 200 former members of
Excuse me.
Mitt Romney, John McCain, both
Lit
President
Romney?
Bush, and even
Whoa.
former President Trump's teams. I have the support of people Republicans who understand what is at stake in this election, be it as
Such
it relates
as
to
Lit
our
Romney.
democracy and our most fundamental principles. And I do believe, based on a collective understanding we have, that America's politics has to get back to the place of encouraging healthy debate, but not division for the sake of division.
Just a couple more economic story questions here.
We gotta go back to when white boys were riding on
Donald Trump
horses,
says
shooting
that
everybody.
tariffs on imports.
Quite
Well, that would
frankly,
be the solution to all of our economic woes. You criticize.
that's
his
when
plan for
America
tariffs,
was great.
Yet the Biden-Harris
That'd be a based
administration
answer,
left
right?
many of the
Cowboys,
Trump-era
Indians killing each other.
tariffs in place.
That's when America was
Especially
great.
with
We
regards
didn't
to
know
China.
what was on the other side of the
And,
hill,
President
but damn it, we was
Biden
going to the other side of the hill.
expanded some of those tariffs.
Manifest
Would
destiny.
you continue the Trump-era tariffs if you're elected?
So part of the real problem that economists and others have pointed out about Trump's approach in this election, he is advocating what is at least a 20% tariff across the board on everyday necessities and goods, which economists
Yo,
have
we living
estimated
through
will
that right
cost
now.
the average American family more than almost $4,000 a year. More
Right,
than
but what
they're
if we don't
already
pay
paying.
taxes?
For
But
everyday
you've got tariffs.
goods? But let me get to my point. On everyday goods, and so a across the board blanket policy
Like,
on
what if we
tariffs
pay
for
like 4
everyday
more years of
goods
taxes and then
necessities.
Trump gets rid of it?
Tariff policy we cannot afford to have that is just a blind policy without looking at what we are talking about and what will it induce, what will it incentivize.
Yo, Ukraine,
On the
Israel,
point about
y'all gotta
China,
pay our taxes
America has to
for the next
win
5,000
the
years.
21st century as it relates to China. And we need to have
co-
policy
or else we're gonna
that
extort you.
includes investing in America, investing in American
Kamala said it,
workers,
not me.
investing in
Kamala
American
said it.
manufacturing, investing in American supply chain. And that is, I believe, smart and important policy, not only for the sake of our security, but also our prosperity.
So let's move on to immigration. You recently visited
Be a shame if
Southern
America had to
border
make
and,
your
embraced
homeland
President
prosper.
Biden's recent
It'd
crackdown
be a
on
shame if we had to
asylum
liberate
seekers. And that crackdown produced an almost immediate
Had to liberate you one time.
dramatic decrease in the number of
Had to give you
border
some
crossings.
freedom real quick.
And you said you would take it even further. If that's the right answer now, why didn't your administration take those steps in 2021?
So we came into office, and
It's that mold,
almost
like she
hours
said.
ago after our
It ain't
inauguration,
the
the first bill we
cocaine.
proposed to Congress was to fix our
The
broken
mold.
immigration system. Knowing that if you want to actually fix it, we need Congress to act. It was not taken up. Fast forward to a moment when of members of the United States Senate, including one of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, got together,
Lit
came
Romney.
up with a border security bill, which I support. Well, guess what happened?
What?
Donald Trump got word that
No,
this bill
he fucked it
was
up, didn't
afoot
he?
and could be passed, knowing that it could fix part of the problem. And he wants to run on a problem instead of
No.
fixing a problem. So he told his buddies in Congress, don't let it move forward.
But Madam Vice President, I've been covering the border for
Trump
years.
snitched on me.
And so I know this is not a problem that started with your administration.
Correct.
But there was an historic flood of undocumented immigrants coming across the border the first 3 years of your administration. As a matter of fact, arrivals quadrupled.
Oh,
from the last
shit.
year of
God,
President
he said it
Trump.
tripled. Matter of fact, no, it
Was it a
quadrupled.
mistake to
Damn, that's a
loosen
good
the
tactic.
immigration policies as much as you did in 2021?
So
It tripled. No,
regionally,
it
and actually
quadrupled,
globally,
actually.
we have seen this as an issue. And America's obviously not immune from this issue. But the focus has to be, to your point, you've been covering it for years, it's a long-standing problem.
We want
And
you
solutions are
to be
at hand.
replaced.
And from
We
day
want you
one,
to your
literally,
dogs
we
eaten,
have
your
been
cats
offering
eaten.
solutions, which have not been picked
Every
up. And then when
entry
there was
level
a
job
border
will be taken
security
by
bill,
someone who
my
cannot speak
opponent
English, and you will
decided
eat
to
bugs,
run
and you will
on
like
the
it, and you will
problem
be
instead of
happy.
Fixing the problem, and understand what that bill would have done. That border security bill would have put 1,500 more.
They're gonna come
agents
here
at the border, which is why the border
and they're gonna
Patrol
wave
Union
their flag
supported it. It would have
in
put
front of your
more
face.
resources into
And
stemming the
if
flow
you have an
of
American flag,
fentanyl.
you're
But that was
racist.
Which is a
just this
scourge.
past year. That was just this past year. What I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem. Okay?
But the numbers did quadruple.
And the
under
numbers
your
today,
watch.
because of what we have
By
done,
the end of this interview, it's
we
gonna
have cut the flow of illegal
it's gonna be at
immigration
5 times
by
the amount.
half.
What would that be?
We have
Quintupled?
cut the
Should you
flow
have
of
done that?
fentanyl
Quintupled?
by half, but we need Congress to be able to act to actually fix the problem. I was just at the border. I'm talking with
Just at the
these
border, Bill.
incredible men and women who are working around the clock because, again, they don't have the resources they need. We need an act of Congress who carries the purse to do it. Donald Trump told them don't act. I talked with the Border Patrol. Part of the issue that they identified is we need more asylum judges. We need more processing of people who are
Why do we
coming
need
to our
judges
border. And the
at the
resources
fucking border?
aren't there. You know how
Really,
those
though?
resources commensurate with the need get
I mean, I guess we do.
dedicated?
I guess we do.
Congress has to act.
But I
I'll
guess
be one.
My question is, it's a pretty simple one.
I'll be an asylum judge at the border.
If this is the right answer now, what you tried to do with the bipartisan bill,
And what
this-
we tried
this
to do
spring.
on day one, Bill, and what we tried to do on day one, when we came in, first
Here
order of
be-
business before
this
we
is
did
my
the
audition.
Inflation Reduction Act, before
Hola,
we did
¿cómo
successfully, by
estás?
the way, without one Republican vote.
Ah,
Before we
sí,
did
sí.
The infrastructure
Pero
bipartisan
no.
infrastructure bill, before we passed the first
No
meaningful
puedo.
piece of legislation
Adios,
to deal with
amigo.
gun violence in America in 30 years, the first thing we did was to offer a comprehensive solution to create a pathway for citizenship and for people to earn it, and to deal with what we need to do to put more resources to ensure that we are able to heighten our level of security at the border.
So we do need to move on.
Damn,
'cause our time
Kamala
is
said
short,
more
but
security at the border. You
I'm
heard
trying to
it.
understand how it is that with this emphasis on the border, the numbers of
We need
crossings
snipers
quadrupled
at the border, Bill.
under the first 3 years.
Under me,
of the
I would put
Biden-Harris
snipers
administration.
at the border, Bill.
How did that happen?
We'd be sniping them from
There
Mexico.
are a variety of factors that relate to
I
what
mean,
we
we'd
have
be
seen
sniping them
globally
in
and
Mexico.
what we are not immune from
Into
at
Mexico.
our own border in terms of what we have seen in terms of surge of immigration and irregular migration. And there are solutions at hand, but we've got to have leaders who are solution
Yo,
oriented.
this is where they got the still,
which we've been and
which she kind of
are.
looks crazy from.
And I am
I can
going
recognize
forward.
it. It's the
Instead of leaders who want to make it a problem they can run on.
suit. It's the hair.
It's talking about that
It's
person you're
giving.
mentioning right now.
It's giving.
You have accused Donald Trump of using racist tropes when it comes to Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, when it comes to birtherism,
Eating
when it
the
comes
cats,
to Charlottesville.
eating the
In
dogs.
fact, you have called him a racist and divisive. Yet Donald Trump has the support of millions and millions
Huh.
of Americans. How do you explain that?
That's
So let's just break down what you just talked about and talk about it in the context of the words
damn.
that Donald
She's
Trump
slimy.
has spoken and the actions he has taken, and whether that is reflective of who we are as Americans, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. We have a former president who wants to be president again, who has a bouquet of microphones in front of him, who has said the most vile lies about a group of legal immigrants in Springfield, Ohio.
Oh
And
yeah,
if I
yeah,
may,
yeah,
Bill,
yeah,
let me
yeah,
just
yeah.
say something. You know, from
Just
the
'cause they're
time I was a
legal, though, I
prosecutor
mean-
to attorney general to now vice president, I learned very in my career. When the voters bestow on you the authority to have these positions, you must be very thoughtful.
But did the voters vote
about
for
how you use that
Haitian
microphone in
immigrants
front of you.
to eat their dogs and cats and
You know,
geese?
when I was attorney general, the words I spoke could move markets. So the idea that
What about the voters
the
then?
former
What
president,
about the
who
voters
again
in
is running
Ohio?
to be president, would use that microphone in a way that is about vilifying and demeaning a whole population of people? You know what has happened because
Martin
of that?
Luther Kamala.
One day when this happened was a school day, picture day for an elementary school.
Yep.
Picture day.
Yep.
You know what picture day is for our children.
Totally.
They get excited the night before. You put out the clothes they're going to wear. They go to school making sure their faces are clean and their hair is done. And they go to school for picture day. And you know what happened to these children? They had to evacuate that day because of the fear of the threats that were being
ICE?
issued in Springfield because of the words of Donald Trump. So I say.
Oh, because
that
of ICE,
I'm
though,
glad
right?
you are pointing these comments out that
Wow,
he
what?
has made
What?
that have
How would Picture
have
Day be
resulted in a
ruined?
response by most reasonable people to say it's just wrong. It's just wrong.
So you have said you want to be the president of all the people.
Yes.
With so many people supporting Donald Trump, the man you have called a racist, how do you bridge that seemingly unbridgeable gap?
I believe that the people of
didn't answer
America
that
want a
question,
leader who's not trying to divide us and demean. I believe that the American people recognize that the true measure
They know what a
of the
good
strength
Picture
of a
Day
leader
is.
is not based
They
on
know
who
what a
you
good
beat
Picture
down.
Day entails.
It's based on who you lift up. And I have traveled around our country.
I mean, imagine
And
that.
I've met with people of every
Picture
background
day.
and walk of life, including people
It's like Allen
who
Iverson.
have supported Donald Trump in the
Practice.
past, who say to me they're ready to turn the page with
Man,
what
that's
he
twice
has
turn
been
the
doing
page.
and that approach, and they want to chart a new way forward for our country.
So, was democracy best served by President Biden stepping down and basically handing you a nomination.
Oh
You didn't have to go
shit.
through a primary process. You didn't have to fight off
Didn't get
other
voted.
contenders. That's
Didn't get
not really
voted
the way
in.
our system was intended to work.
Ooh.
So, President Biden made
Oh.
a decision that I think history is going to show is rare among leaders, which was to put country before self.
Excuse me.
And I am proud to have earned the support
Country
of the
before
vast
self.
majority of delegates and to have been elected the Democratic nominee to be Vice President of the United States. I am
Country
honored
before
to have
self,
received
but,
the support and
if you were a
endorsement
soldier
of
and
over
didn't get-
200 Republicans who served
didn't get
in
the
last
jab,
3
sorry,
Republican
no country
presidential
before self for you.
administrations. I am proud to have earned the support of leaders of our national security community. I am proud to have received the endorsement of leaders around this country from every background and walk of life to fight
That's
in
the
this
problem,
election
Kamala.
over the next month for our democracy and the principles upon which it stands. What is at stake in this
One
election?
nation, under
You
God.
mentioned our democracy is whether we are a nation
Ooh, look at those
that
eyes.
abides by and respects the rule of law,
Look at those
and that we
cat
have a president
feline eyes.
who is
Reptilian.
the champion of following and respecting and upholding rule of law.
But I would
Not
think that-
someone who has been convicted of 34 felonies, who
Oh.
tried to overturn the free and fair election, which was the will of the people on January 6th.
Oh.
Not someone who has said he would be a dictator on day one.
Oh.
Not someone who has said, and these are his words, he would terminate the Constitution of the United States of America.
But I think this
Oh, based.
is
Well,
why
he hasn't
people
done it yet.
think or say they don't really know who you are.
Well, Bill, there's no question. Look, I've been in this race for 70 days. And there is work to be done. It is without any question a short period of time. There's no question about that. Which is why
Kamala,
I'm traveling
Kamala,
around
Kamala.
our country. As I said earlier, I mean, you've seen me. I'm from one state to the next to the next. I don't know how many states I've been in this last week alone. Literally, I've lost count. So it is my responsibility to earn the vote.
I've been in like
And
50
I'm gonna work to
states.
do that.
It's been fucking crazy.
Three-quarters of the American
Fucking unreal. I've been in
voters or
50
likely
states. Can you
voters
believe that?
Say that they
Campaigning
are
and
concerned
shit,
about
Bill.
the possibility of
50.
election-related violence, and with
Nifty
2
fucking states.
assassination attempts against former President Trump, the country seems near a boiling point. What can you do? What should you do to lower the temperature?
Well, those attempts,
We're gonna have
assassination
Nancy
attempts on
Pelosi
the former president,
and
I was deeply
Nancy Mace
disturbed, shocked
fight in the Congress floor over
and
the
shaken,
name
frankly.
Nancy.
when they happened. I called the former president to check on him. But it is really important that all of us speak loudly, regardless of who we're voting for, to say our differences box and not
And
through
in the
violence.
MMA ring,
We cannot lose
officiated by Dana
our
White
soul in terms of who we are as Americans
and announced by Joe Rogan.
by resorting
American.
to violence to settle our differences, much less to make a decision about who's going to be the next president of the United States.
Damn, that'd be crazy,
Let's
right?
hit on some more foreign
That's
policy.
how we got the final vote. If there's a draw,
Which foreign
all right, y'all got to
country do you
fight.
Consider to be our greatest adversary.
Hop in the ring. Joe Rogan, Dana White,
Well,
get
there
it
are
set
different
up.
reasons that we should be thoughtful about each. Most recently, I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. And look, I mean,
You
Iran
mean
has
Iran?
American blood on their hands, okay? And what we saw in terms of just
Iran.
this attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles.
Oh, that's right.
What we
Yeah,
need
they
to do
were
to
tripping.
ensure that Iran never
Yeah, they were
achieves the
tripping.
ability to be a nuclear power. That is one of my highest priorities.
So if you
and
have
that
proof
must be.
that Iran is building a nuclear weapon, would you take military action?
Fuck
I'm not
yeah.
going to talk about hypotheticals at this moment.
Fuck yeah. Let them try, bitch.
China is strong.
That's kind of what she just said. Yo, base Kamala. I ain't talking about hypotheticals because they ain't. Because they ain't.
The Philippines.
Damn, Kamala based.
U.S. responsibility for keeping China
We're
from
going
simply
to
taking
make
over
special
the
U.S.
South China Sea?
troop units
Well, I have
of
actually
U.S.
worked very
Philippine
closely
prostitutes.
with the leaders in the Philippines on just this very issue, and
we will
including the work
dispatch
that
them
we are doing in terms of coordination between
to Ukraine and
our
the Middle
military and training, and what needs to happen in terms of protecting the freedom of the South China
The
Sea.
North Korean soldiers will have
China,
no chance
first of all,
against
we
the
must
prostitutes
win
from the
competition
Philippines.
for the 21st century with China. We must be able to compete and win. We should not seek conflict. But we have to understand that there are parameters in which we must operate that include ensuring, for example, that we protect American business interest.
So say if
Swag.
China attacks Taiwan, would we use military
We gotta keep
force
selling them
to support
opium.
Taiwan?
Bill, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals, but listen, we need to make sure that we maintain
Actually,
a
they're selling us
one-China
opium
policy.
now. They're selling us
But
fentanyl.
that includes supporting Taiwan's ability to defend itself.
And by them I mean
including what we
China.
need to do to ensure,
Quite frankly.
the freedom of the Taiwan Strait. But on the issue of China,
And it's coming in
we
through the
also,
southern border.
Again, these are
That was a
not,
bad Trump impression.
We
My
cannot
bad.
afford
My
to
bad.
have foreign
My bad.
policy that is myopic. We must
Whoa,
be able
myopic.
to also, as it relates to China, continue to do the work that we have
Swag.
begun
Word
to deal
of
with
the
flow
day.
fentanyl coming into the United States.
Whoa,
That's
called
the
it.
issue. Again, you talk to families around our country
Called it.
who I on a constant, sadly, regular basis meet parents and family members of people who've died from fentanyl, young people who've died from fentanyl. Are we going to stop trying to stem the flow of fentanyl? And we have to deal with that and understand China's role in that and our ability to work with China to stop that flow. Which
But
we have
Kamala,
begun to do, and I'm gonna
how is
continue
China
to.
getting in
We
here?
need to make sure we have
How?
open lines of communication with China, in particular, military to military. So these
Through the
issues are all,
southern
they're
border.
multifaceted.
What
That's
about
quadrupled
Russia and Ukraine?
in crossing
What-
since
what
you come in.
does
Stupid
The end
bitch.
of the war. What does success
Sorry,
look like
Kamala, I'm sorry.
in ending
All
the
women
war
are
in
beautiful. All
Ukraine?
women deserve respect.
There will be no success in ending that war without Ukraine and the UN Charter participating in what that success looks like.
Would
That
you-
being said, America must stand firm in being a leader in defending international rules and norms that include one of the most important, which is the critical nature and importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Would you meet with President Vladimir Putin to negotiate a solution to the war in Ukraine?
Not bilaterally without Ukraine, no. Ukraine must have a say
I
in
ain't
the
a
future of
snitch.
Ukraine.
How about, as president, would you support the effort to expand NATO to include Ukraine?
Those are all issues that we will deal with if and when it arrives at that point. Right now, we are supporting Ukraine's ability to
Is that
defend
even an
itself
issue right
against
now?
Russia's unprovoked aggression, and doing what we can to continue to build
Bro,
and
Ukraine.
strengthen
Oh my
the
god,
alliance around the support for Ukraine's right to be an independent nation, free from having its borders forcefully taken by Russia. And we are going to continue to work closely with our NATO allies.
It's crazy.
To continue
Kamala
to
is
reinforce
defending a nation
America's
who has
alliance in the context of NATO.
neo-Nazis
Again, in this election, there's
who
a real
do
difference between me and the former president.
occult dark magic
I believe in
on their front
reinforcing
lines.
the strength of NATO. Understanding, again, it is the greatest
crazy.
military alliance the world has ever
Kamala,
known.
that's crazy, Kamala.
Donald Trump would
The
pull us out
Azov
of NATO.
Battalion,
Donald
that's
Trump,
crazy.
if he were
The
president,
Azov Battalion, bro, that's crazy.
Putin
Kamala.
would be sitting in Kyiv
You fuck
right
with
now.
that shit, Kamala?
Let's be clear about that. He talks about, oh, he can end it on day one. You know what that is? It's about surrender. Achieving peace and an end to this war is not synonymous with surrender. Those two things are not the same.
It's a hard left turn here, but you recently surprised people when you said that you are a gun owner, and then if someone came into your
That
house,
was not the first time I've
They would get
talked
shot.
about it. That's not the first time I've talked about it. But it's, I mean, I don't talk about it a lot, but
so what kind of gun do you own, and when and why did you get it?
I have a Glock.
Woo!
And I've had it for quite some time. And I mean, look, Bill, I've had it for law enforcement. And so there you go.
When I'm
Have
dancing.
you ever fired it?
Yes, of course I have. At a shooting range.
Oh,
Yes, of course I have.
Yo.
And to just give you more detail,
got
and
the
I store it in a
blicky.
lockbox, and it is safely stored, and as any responsible gun owner does.
I'm getting the countdown here, but one last thing. You are
That food lame shit, I ain't with it. I'm sending shots at you
Trump
fitted.
campaign canceled an interview that they had agreed to participate in this broadcast. What do you make of that?
That's
Listen,
crazy.
I
A
think that,
Glock. Yo, Kamala, gang.
Look, I think that your viewers have options in terms of how they're going to hear from him. And I invite them to watch what he says at his rallies. If he is not going to give your viewers
Shots fired
the
verbally.
ability to have a meaningful,
I gotta say
thoughtful
verbally because
conversation,
Kamala's got a
question and answer
fucking
with you,
glizzy.
then watch his rallies. And what you're going to hear are comments about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter.
She's got the
You're
Glock,
going to
Glock
hear
and the
conversations
blicky.
suggesting that
Ooh, look at
human
that face.
beings are eating their pets. You're going to
They-
hear
they
conversations
did, though.
that are about
That one chick did eat a cat.
himself and all of his personal
I don't think
grievances.
she was Haitian though.
Words that are
Bitch was on
intended
something, though.
to divide
Bitch
our
was on
country
one.
is what you will hear, and what you
Bitch
will
was eating
not
pussy
hear
broad day. I mean,
is
at
anything
night though.
about you, the listener.
That shit was crazy.
You will not hear a plan about how he's going to make your life better. You will not hear a plan about how he's going to strengthen the middle class. You will not hear about how he is going to strengthen
He won't
small
even share his
businesses. You will
Southern
not
sweet
hear
tea
about
lemonade
how he's gonna
recipe
try to
with
bring
y'all.
the country together.
I will.
Find common ground.
5 lemons,
And
5
Bill,
cups of
that is
sugar.
why I believe in my soul and heart the American people are ready to turn the page.
You have said that the country is exhausted
Yes.
with the rhetoric and the finger pointing. How about you? Are you exhausted?
Nope.
I'll be exhausted on November 6th.
I'm on Addies,
Not
baby.
now. Not now. Too much to do. Too much to do.
Madam Vice President, thank you very much.
Oh, damn,
Thank
it's
you.
over.
Thank you, Bill.
Oh,
Good to be
man.
with you.
Damn. Okay.
Oh, can we just
Okay.
get just a little bit of a question, please, so I can get it over the shoulder shot?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not over?
Okay. Thank you.
Well, not yet.
You get me talking?
Yes, sir.
Well, we were talking about how you're going to pay for it, and I mean, I truly do mean it. Your plans are logical, make logical sense. The way Washington
Thing is
works
gonna cut
is
off.
not logical. So how are you going to convince a divided Congress that what you say, your plans, are something that they should all agree to and provide to the American people when they've shown no inclination to do that up to this point?
Is that what you needed?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. 36.
Yes,
sounds
sir.
good.
Oh! Don't misgender the could-be president, motherfucker. Blah, blah, eat this Glock. Blah, blah, blah. You just offended me and my they them daughter in the background when she was fucking up your